A meme from a car park. No, not a meme, a video.
Hi guys. Hi guys. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi guys. Hi guys.
Hi guys. Meanwhile, at the same time, literally just before, by like getting bullied for being overweight by someone that I used to know on one of our comments on our video.
I saw that.
I was like, yeah, I'm fat. Hi guys. I'm an influencer. Mainly influencing high blood pressure.
High cholesterol.
Yeah.
No. Welcome to Idle Chat. We're going to start this week's episode with some questions, as we did last week. We had loads to go through last week, so rather than do them all in one long podcast, we thought we'd just cover a few more this week. So we'll start with this is specifically one I think more for you, Callum, from Ross Barnes. Best moment in your E34?
The day I sold it. No, no, not at all. I suppose one of the best moments I had with that car was, it was probably over a period of time to be fair, was watching my dad learn to drift in it, my mum learn to drift in it, my partner learn to drift in it. Like, that car was fun because it didn't matter, so getting to see so many different people drive it was always interesting and enjoyable to watch. But one of my favourite moments of the car, I wasn't actually driving. I lent it to a guy called Chris Hawkins. Who was
I remember Chris Hawkins.
Former BDC driver, had a 2J S13, was a bit rowdy. And he used to have an E34. I actually went around Mondello Park, no, not Mondello. Mallory Park with him in a E34 535 on chop springs and a welded diff.
That's a fast track as well.
Fast track with 120 PSI on the back tyres. To get around the first corner.
Would-do.
Bone stock apart from that. It had cut springs and a welded diff and 120 PSI on the back tyres. And it was fun because that guy is scary until it popped a tyre and it blew the rear quarter off the car. And I mean off.
Yeah. Well, the metal or?
Yeah, like peeled the rear quarter panel off it. And our ears hurt. But that wasn't my E34, that was Chris's. So Chris was driving our
So
one.
you've answered somebody else's question.
I've answered someone else's question. One of the highlights was we used to do a charity event at Norfolk Arena where we'd bring competition cars in of the time, give people passenger rides, do like a charity battle through the evening. And Chris's car broke, so he used our E34 in the competition and was at the time keeping up with what was the cutting edge of British Drift Championship cars in a wanky E34. And that was quite impressive to watch.
Yeah.
It's funny because
he was a good driver.
He was a hell of a driver, but also that car didn't belong there, but it was funny to watch.
Did he have an RBS 13? Grey one?
No, he had a 2J.
2J 13, yeah. Boy could pedal.
Boy can pedal.
Next one, I mean, I can already answer this, but Josh Moore. To be fair, Josh Moore's worth a mention. You weren't at Matsuri. Boy finished his car the day before Matsuri.
Literally.
Literally the day before.
And it's been off, it's been apart since BDC finished.
Yeah.
So 2 years, 3 years.
He proceeded to then all weekend be absolutely flat on the national track, not managing it, just flat lining as fast as he can in a 420 horsepower E36,
Turbo
and then
50.
throwing it into the hairpin as fast as he could backwards.
I saw a couple of clips of him. I wasn't at the event. I saw a couple of
savage.
clips and was like, oh boy, Josh put his big boy pants on for Matsuri. He
I don't
was
know,
flying.
Don't know what he had
Taking
to
some brave
eat.
pills and
Yeah,
I don't know.
he was flying.
What was his question?
His question is how the M50 is the best engine.
So he's better at driving than he is English.
Yeah, you're definitely better driver than English.
I think it is, and this is going to date this podcast a little bit because obviously we're filming them a little bit ahead of time.
Yeah.
But at the weekend at Driftmasters, there was a multitude of turbo M50s.
There was.
And some of them are very rowdy and sound incredible. I think it's an engine that probably isn't fully understood in this country and used to its full potential.
It's an Eastern European engine.
It's a very European engine, and they've got them figured out far better than we have. Josh's has always worked well.
Josh's has always worked well.
I'm going to say that's down to Jack. Jack's a great
Yeah, because Josh does not look after it, and Josh does not give it any mechanical sympathy.
No, but it's got a good ECU on it. It's mapped by a good mapper, and I think that's kept it alive.
The best mapper.
Better than Martin Batty.
We've got our own Martin Fatty to confirm that.
But Matt, I think that's held that together. I think the M50 is very underrated. Josh Kings as well has done very well in this country.
Yeah, that makes big power as well.
It's like 850, 900.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think he gets a lot of mechanical love, despite the fact he is a mechanic. And
No.
he gets a lot of abuse. So I think he's an engine that is underrated in this country, but should be used a little bit more.
Agreed. I'll agree with that. Everything he said. Next one.
All those words.
All those words. Josh, do English. Wayne B.1. Keep away from rusty cars. Yes. Yes.
If I could
yes,
do my
and
time
yes.
again, I would start with looking under cars a little better before I purchase them. I am a welder fabricator for a living.
Yeah, you're the best man to ask on this one.
Yeah, I despise welding cars. It's the worst job in the world. Yes, I would keep away from a rusty car if you are wanting to build a nice car. If you are wanting a car to learn to drift in, and if it gets bent and it goes in the bin, some rust is okay.
Yeah, but even then there's a limit.
But there's a limit, yeah. My 32 was rotten.
Yeah.
And I knew that going into it, and I was like, it's okay, I'm a welder. It was shite. It was absolutely terrible because it's so much worse than it looks on the surface.
Yep.
When you peel back the layers, cars are made up of multitudes of layers of sheet metal.
Yeah.
And once you peel back the first layer, you realise there's 10 more behind it that are in far worse condition than they look. So I would avoid it if you can.
At all
especially
costs.
if you can't weld. But I can weld and I still would avoid it. I don't. Hence why I've not welded 350, because I can't be arsed with it.
Yeah, and also it's a can of worms.
Yeah.
Like that little hole that looks
Yeah.
4 centimetres big becomes 20 centimetres big as soon as you start tapping
And I
it.
know this is bad because I can get my fist in it. So
Yeah,
I don't want to unpick it any further.
the 350Z is a bit holy.
Yeah.
Again, agree with Callum. I had an S14. It was a UK S14. We spent weeks welding it. Yeah. It's so time consuming as well.
It's so heartbreaking. It's so shit.
It is heartbreaking. And even when you've done it and you've welded it all up,
It still looks shit.
it still looks shit.
And you never trust the car.
No, and the chassis rails then start to go and everything else starts to go. So then the bit you've done, the floor plan you've done looks great, but the sill it's attached to is gone.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's a never-ending job once
Yeah.
you've started it, unfortunately. And I think,
unless you're willing to literally replace everything.
and
that's-
which is then no longer a car that you want to use for this.
Correct.
Probably. Because you'll have so many man hours into it, it's not worth doing.
Steve Richardson, SR Auto
Yeah.
Boys.
Yeah, I would say that people need to start buying the best car they can buy.
Buy the best shell
buy
you
the
can buy.
best shell you can find. Don't buy a cheap one.
Yeah.
Because you can only need sills, because that's a can of worms that you'll never get away from.
It only needs seals is...
It's the equivalent of dropping it off to your tuner and it only needs a mat. It's
Yeah.
the same can of worms that you got open there. Just avoid them if you can.
2 months later, 3 reels of MIG wire, lots of late nights, and you're
I
still
am
there.
a welder fabricator for a living. My 32 took me 18 months to get back to solid metal of weekends and evenings. And I'll be honest, there's still bits on that car that I would have been returning to in a few years.
Yeah.
Probably in 2 or 3 years from now, I would say.
Does
Jordan will find us out.
does Jordan know this?
The bill thread's there.
Yeah, agree with Callum. Just buy a better chassis. It might cost you a bit more. It might take you a bit longer. Even if it's a compromise on what you're actually buying, i.e. you might say, well, I really want an S14, but I can't find one that isn't rotten, so I'll buy a GT86 instead because it's less likely to be rotten. Yeah. I would probably, if you want to drive, I'd probably do that over buying a UK S14
That was the
shell.
longest part of my build.
Oh yeah,
really.
by far. The mechanical stuff on these cars doesn't take long.
No, it doesn't take long.
You can completely strip and rebuild a car in 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, the rust repair is the shittest part of it, by far.
Yeah, agreed. Next question from Wand Wizard.
Mr. Ian Waddington.
Ian Waddington of Driftmasters commentary.
Driftmasters.
We're going to fanboy it, Ian.
Yeah.
Ian's asked, do you think that a Driftmasters event in the UK would get support from the UK drift fans? And are you interested?
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes, please pick a good track or make one up for yourselves somewhere. And I will be there.
Yeah.
I'll pick a shit track and I'll be there. But yes. I think it would get a huge amount of support. I think what will be a good eye-opener to that this year is when Drift Games run LZ Fest at Castle King. That's the first big event we've had in the UK for a long time.
Yes, it is.
For drifting. It's in September, I think, which is a bold move in this country.
It should be okay.
Should be okay. I think it will still have a great turnout.
Yeah.
But that will be a real eye-opener as to what attendance will be like in this country. I think Drift Masters could go to Hawaii and probably run a successful event at this point. But I think within Europe, yes, absolutely, they could go anywhere and be busy.
Dave proved that when he did BDC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave came in and did British Drift Championship.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was popping off.
Yeah.
I absolutely would love to see Drift Masters in the UK.
Same.
Absolutely.
It also saved me 2 plane tickets, 3 nights in a hotel.
Yeah, we're going to Latvia. So if we're willing to go to Latvia to watch it, I'll definitely be anywhere in the UK to watch it.
Too right. That said, Riga is the track looks sick.
Rowdy. I'm so excited.
I'd like to see it at a proper motorsport circuit in the UK, but then part of me is like, well, but the best spectating I ever had was on a wall at Rockingham, on a tight little track.
It really doesn't need to.
So equally, it doesn't. I don't think, as you said, I don't think it really matters. I think bring the spectacle.
I think it needs
the people
someone
will come.
who knows how to lay a track out, which Drift Masters clearly do. They do it time and time again. So I think it just needs the right. I think they'd be better to almost not go to a motorsport venue. Look at Finland. It's in a theme park. Yeah. You want something like that where it's the spectacle is there and the access is there and
I know a lot of people as well that have travelled from the UK to go to Spain and some of the events so far. Not Finland so much, but definitely Spain. Yeah. So if people are willing to go to Spain to watch it and Riga like us, if you think it's at Silverstone or Coombe or wherever, I think
Poland last year had more Irish and English there than it did Polish, but everyone was there. So I think absolutely it would get the support in the UK, and also the UK has a great travel connections, so
it does.
People will come as well from abroad easily.
Yeah, I agree. So Ian?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I really hope that this was a dabble in the water of a conversation that you've already had behind closed doors.
Our 40 followers will come. That'll make all the difference.
Yeah, we'd love to endorse it.
We'd love to endorse it, and all 40 people that we can recommend it to will happily come. Although I don't think 40 is going to pay the bills.
No, it's not.
It's a start. Right, next question.
To be fair, if all 40 of them give us £1, we could go though, one of us.
Yeah, flights are cheap. Well, it depends where it is.
Well,
yeah, true. Next one from Gardner.d. Would you guys come to Mondello for Drift Games Bash? Well, that's kind of same people as Dave.
Absolutely. I would love to. I want to come with you because I want to see you do big scary things.
Yeah, I desperately want to come. Friendly as we said about with Tom, who went last year to one of the Drift Games Bashes and was throwing it in hot, and I love throwing it in hot. So I reckon I could do it. I reckon I could do some Larry stuff as well. I don't know if I'd be doing the 360 entries. I don't think I've quite got the balls for that.
No, but that track's a lot narrower than.
Yeah, but I'd love to throw it under that bridge.
Yeah.
And then throw it in hard into that hairpin. It's like the same as Silverstone, but the opposite way around. And then you've also got that really nice flow into the next hairpin. I think it would be sick.
Hole in the hedge, I think they call that.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Mondello.
Same.
I would love to go there. I think the cars over there are sick.
Yep. The people are sick.
People are so much fun.
Yep.
And I'd take the 350, but I'd also be happy to jump in and go with Adam. It's an event. It's on the to-do list. Logistically, it didn't. We looked at it for this year. It just didn't really work out with other things we've got on with Riga, with a couple of other things that we had teed up for this year. So
we're pretty big influencers these days.
Yeah, we're very important people. So it's hard to fit things into our schedule. But in all seriousness, though, it's something that I would imagine in the next couple of years we will probably attend. Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to see the Drift Games guys at tracks because I think they're driving the.
They're doing
14 and the PS13 low brain car. So I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they got on there. But that's a similar sort of vibe, the entry sort of Larry entry stuff. I would love to go. It's logistically and time wise a little bit difficult for us because obviously we're in England.
Yeah, it becomes a sort of a week for us, doesn't it?
The problem is as well where we're based. We're right on the opposite side of England. So you've got 7-8 hours to Anglesey, then a ferry. Then another,
however long.
Then another 2-3 hours. So If we were, this is a shit excuse, but if we were,
It's a big commitment.
yeah,
for us.
if we were in Wales, for example, we'd be there in 6 or 7 hours,
Yeah.
including the ferry. But as it is, it's 7 hours to the ferry.
Yeah, it's sort of with the ferry, it's probably a day's travel.
Oh yeah, you're losing
Each
a day.
way.
You're losing a day going and a day coming back, plus the weekend. It's 4 days minimum.
Minimum.
Realistically, it's 5 days.
It's 5, yeah, because it's 4 very long
Yeah.
days.
And as I discussed in the last podcast, being self-employed, it is tough. Like it is tough to balance
Yeah.
money, life. It is
absolutely.
tough. So, but would love to.
Yeah, it's on the to-do list.
Yeah, I'd like to definitely commit to doing it. I will do it. I'll say that now. I will do it.
We will
I just won't do it this year, unfortunately, unless someone wants to give me some money to go. But I very much doubt that's going to happen. Next question. From Drift Across the World. Where do you see drifting going in the near future? Track days and competitions. So basically, what do you envisage going forward?
I think we sort of spoke about that a few episodes ago, didn't we? I think you would be naive to not think at some point environmentalists are going to be upset about this sport. I would say it has.
Greta's not keen.
Greta's going to be fuming soon. It's got a finite life left on it, I think, in the world of competition and Europe.
I think eventually governments are going to go, so hang on, you have 2,000 tyres which you turn into smoke.
In a weekend.
Yeah, and you make E85 out of crops, which has a big carbon footprint, and then you turn that into more of a carbon footprint with exhaust and 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, and noise.
And noise, and
everything else. So I think, unfortunately, I think you'd be naive to not see that drifting has a finite life in this. Certainly in Europe at the moment, I would say.
I don't think Europe's a problem. I think the UK is a problem.
Yeah.
Because we're such a small island. When you look at...
And motorsport isn't popular.
No.
Anymore.
You go to Russia, for example, and you can drive for 14 hours and not see a single person.
Yeah.
So I think in our country, it's difficult.
Yeah, I think so. However, that's a bit negative.
Yeah, and we like to be positive, cast.
We're a positive influence if we can be. I think drifting is. I really hope to see someone pick up a bit more of a party event kind of.
We want your final bouts.
Yeah.
We want your all that sort of stuff. And to be fair, it mentions like drift days. I would say though.
We have plenty.
I would say we have more events than we do days. Practice days are dwindling more and more. But events, I would say, like Drift Games Bash we just mentioned, Dory Fest, Matsuri, all these events are, I would say, growing in popularity and in volume. I mean, Dory Fest was one event, now it's
4. It's on its 4th.
But it's also now twice a year.
No.
And some,
well, they do Herbie, don't they?
Yeah, but then they also do a 2.5.
Herbie.
Or he's done it So that's gone from one event a year, to 3 events kind of a year.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to see it expand again in this country. We've had a sort of boom, we had a little dip. I think we're on the upward curve of a climb again, and I hope it continues. Obviously, nothing is certain. We don't know for definite. It's entirely a guess, but I'd like to see it grow in popularity again. I think it's more as it becomes more mainstream and more people understand what drifting is. It kind of begins to become more invited to different places, and I hope that continues.
I think it's more mainstream, more people want to do it, less people can afford to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the key problem. I think there's a lot of people that 5-10 years ago would be doing it, but now they can't afford to because
life,
cost of living, blah, 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 blah. But also you've got the cost of the cars now, cost of the engines, cost of everything. So without making it negative, you have to really want to do it and have enough income to be able to support it, like yourself.
Yeah.
Like you'd love
I really want to do it, I just can't afford to do it as much as I want to.
And there'll be thousands of people that are exactly the same.
And I've got the benefit of having a car sat there.
Yeah.
There's plenty
and your
of people
car
that
isn't
in the same boat that don't have a car sat
correct. And your car is not
it's nothing special.
It's not a Ryan Hughes does a pair of tyres in a lap.
No.
So it's
does a cam sensor in a lap, but not tyres.
Yeah, and it's sort of like eeny, meeny, miny, mo as to which one it might be. But I think without wishing to be negative, I think events will continue to grow. I think drift competitions will decline due to costs and tracks closing. And I think the drift days, practice days, I think they'll stay the same or decline, because the people that tend to do the practice days are the people that tend to do the comps. So I think they'll drop off a bit.
It takes one person to open a door to another venue, and we're off. That's all it took last time. So it takes the right person is key there, to open the door to the right venue, and we're off again.
Andy Arnott has been posted on the internet, lots of videos, clips, photos, etc., of a huge place.
Looks like an old steelworks. South Wales. Isn't it?
It's in South Wales, so Narnia, but that isn't the end of the world. And it's vast. And he's talking about having skid pans, a Mayhan layout, all sorts of stuff he's talking about. If he can pull that off, that will be sick. I don't know how many acres it is, but it is vast. When you put up a drone, it's just tarmac everywhere.
It's huge.
So if he can pull that off, then great. And all for it. And that might kick off a bit of a resurgence.
I hope so. I hope so.
But it is a bit stagnant at the moment.
It is a little bit quiet at the moment.
If I'm honest. Sorry to be negative cast, but we'll have one or two more and then we'll call it that for that. Okay, from Stephen.p_. Been trying to learn myself since February, and will be good to hear about how others went about learning. So basically, he's trying to learn what's the best way of learning, other than practice. Which is practice fundamentally.
It's seat time. Seat time is everything. It's like any skill you try and learn. You could be learning French, it could be riding a bike. The more you do it, the better you are. It's as simple as that. Familiarity. I think I think you can learn a lot from a passenger seat.
Yep,
a lot of people don't, but I think you can. You start to, if you pay attention, watch what the driver's doing, and feel the physical feelings of what the car does, you can start to correlate those two together. I think that is a huge benefit. And sort of just drive as much as you can. You don't need to build one of these to be your first car. Go put a welded diff in something and a seat and a handbrake, or not even a handbrake. Go.
Yep.
Drive it. And that is really the heart and soul of it. And listen to people who are better than you. Don't try and be coached by your mate that started at the same time as you and who's also learning, because you're both going to teach each other your same bad habits. You're not going to learn anything.
Agreed.
Listen to someone be humble and listen to someone who's better than you and take their advice on board. Or go and ask them. Ask someone to say, look, I'm learning at the minute. This is only my third day. If you get a chance, can you just keep an eye out on me and just give me a bit of advice? I'd really like to hear what you think.
Or would you jump in and just do a lap with me?
Yeah, all that. Or if you're struggling with the car, get someone else to drive it as well.
Yeah, that's
because
a good point.
It might be a car problem, and if you're too new to the sport to understand that, then you might be fighting something that you can fix.
Yeah, you could have something like a bent steering rack, and it keeps binding up, and you think,
like a terrible lock setup or something like that. Like, it's not always just you, but take advice and ask people. Everyone's very willing to help in this sport.
Oh yeah.
So ask for some advice.
I would say 100%. I'd also just add into that, if rather than spending money on the car, potentially it might work for you as a beginner, like spending some money on a sim, potentially, if you can afford it. I don't mean going whole hog and spending $5,000, but if you can, rather than put in a turbo kit on your M50, whatever it might be, or whatever you might have, keep the car as it is, maybe spend 500 quid to $1,000 on a fairly entry-level second-hand sim setup, just to give you the steering feel, the feel of the familiarity.
And muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory. Then when you get in the car, okay, you've got the G-force and everything, but the muscle memory should be there. But that and getting someone...
Or if you don't want to do that, you haven't got space in your house, you haven't got room, rather than spending the next 1,500 quid on wheels, body kit and engine, spend it on driving it. You take a fairly standard car, a welded diff, some coilovers, some basic lock molds and a bucket seat, and it will take you 2 or 3 years before the car is holding you back.
Yeah, and everyone learns at different rates. Like, I know people that it took them a year to be able to link a track, and I know other people that went and did it second time out. It's difficult.
Also, you watch the Shanahans still now drive a standard 350 with a welded diff, and they're doing things that most people can't do in that car. So that car is capable of far more than you are. So drive. Try not to change the car. Get the fundamentals into the car and just drive it. Try not to change it too much.
Yeah.
But you're not a Drift Masters driver. You don't need to change the setup on the car for every track you do. Just keep it consistent and drive it. And I think that'll do you a world of good.
Yeah, I agree. Last one. Tom_OB8, which is Baby Tom.
Baby Tom.
The photography dude, who's a good dude.
Video guy. Fellow 350 trombone enthusiast.
He is a trombone enthusiast, yeah.
Also about to paint his red.
Best colour.
Fastest colour.
I mean, yours isn't, but...
Well, no.
But
he's probably got better cam sensors than me.
I'd say so. He sent 3 messages, which I'm just trying to decipher, but effectively I think it means are people going back to the streets? It's basically what I think it reads as. Are track days gone? Are people going back to the streets? What's the future of tracks and drifting? We've covered some of that, but specifically I think he's referencing, are people going to go back to the streets now there's less to do on the track?
You're welcome to. I need my licence too much.
Yeah.
I think true street drifting in this country is fairly close to done. I haven't seen anything recently that I think, wow, that's some sick street drifting. It's been many years since I've seen that. Many, many years since there was a big street scene in this country. Yeah. People doing first gear donuts in a Halfords car park don't count. Go away.
Takeovers need to go away.
Yeah, you need to go away. Anyone who flips an E46 on a roundabout in first gear, which happened not that long ago, go away. You're not welcome. That's not drifting.
No, that's not drifting.
People like Stevie Boy back in the day doing fourth gear entries onto the M25, that's street drifting.
Yes.
Allegedly, he did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those days are, I think, pretty far gone. This country has an unbelievable amount of ANPR and cameras and everything everywhere. So I don't think there's a great deal of street drifting left in this country. I love it, but I don't think it's there anymore.
No.
And I don't think people can afford to risk the car, the licence, everything that goes with it.
Again, it comes back to money. Back in the day, you hopped your S14 up a roundabout and you laughed and you set fire to it and you ran away.
And the police didn't know what you were doing.
No. But now, you're not setting fire to your 25 grand S14. You're crying that you've melted a roundabout, and then the police turn up and arrest you, and then you're having an even worse day.
Yeah. And then folks look at your car and go, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? And you end up with
You've insured it as no modification, sir. What is all this?
You have a very sore bottom. So I don't think there's a great deal of it. Don't get me wrong, we all do a roundabout or a junction.
I mean, you do have to test the car before an event.
Yeah, but obviously we do it on private roads.
Yeah.
But
Mexico.
But there's a small amount of that, but I don't think... for my 18th birthday, I went to an undisclosed location in London.
With a blue bus.
With a big blue bus.
If you know.
And did a whole evening of street drifting with someone who doesn't tune cars these days.
No, definitely has.
About 30 to 40 cars were out that night.
Yeah.
And they were changing tyres on a slip road over a dual carriageway. Like, it was just normal. And the police turned up and we all just ran away, allegedly. But there was a huge scene for it.
The police also knew that guy, so he had to change his car because they knew exactly who it was.
He did do that
every time.
But like that was a thing most Friday nights, Saturday nights. There was a big street scene. So, but that doesn't exist.
Not so much around here, but down Essex, London, Kent,
Manchester way.
A lot
over Manchester way.
A lot near the cities. There was a lot
of rowdy city boys.
A lot of crime.
City boy.
A lot of city crime.
But but I don't think it really exists anymore. Not in the true sense of street drifting.
No, I would, I'd say.
And I think it would probably be more harmful than helpful these days as well.
Well, as we said before about people leaving the tracks and then doing a peel out outside someone's cottage. It's not cool. Like, it's not cool.
The coolest, to be fair, either this or the coolest street drifting I saw with my eyes.
Yes.
And as soon as it started getting posted on the internet, it vanished because that's not what it's about.
Well, that's how it still is, I think, in Japan.
Yeah.
They don't...
You don't post it online, you don't video it.
It happens, but you never see it.
Allegedly are doing illegal activity, so you don't record yourself breaking into a shop, do you? You just
Hi guys,
I'm just stealing everything from Woolworths.
Vlogging.
Well, that doesn't exist anymore. But
Woolworths. What an outdated reference.
I'm older than I think I am. You know, but like you don't vlog yourself doing illegal activities, and unfortunately, that started as camera phones became more and more apparent. It became more and more posted all over social media. People started getting shafted through the internet by the police who weren't even there, and that was a can of worms. So.
Go back to Nokia 3310s, HDev Stage 3 S14s for 1,200 quid.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Yeah, take us back to the good old days. But yeah, I don't think it exists in this country anymore, really, in its truest sense.
I don't think I've got other questions, but some of them are repeated, and to be honest with you, this could be question cast if we're not careful. So thank you very much for sending those through.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll probably post up again for some more another day.
It's
interesting to answer questions that you guys want answered, rather than us just aimlessly waffling.
We don't want to use it as like you make the content for us by giving us questions.
No.
But it's interesting to know what people think, and also we don't want to ramble on about stuff that people don't want to talk about. Or don't want to hear about.
No.
So it's interesting to know that people are listening, first of all.
Well, yeah, that's a bonus.
First of all, but also what people want to hear, because it helps us guide the podcast in a way that will be interesting to the viewer, hopefully.
And to be fair, whilst we're on that subject, we always do a little piece at the end about, if you've got any feedback, please feel free to tell us it, because we'd love to hear it. Obviously, it's at the end, and most podcasts I listen to, as soon as I hear the wrapping up bit, I've turned it off. So I'm sure all three of you that are listening do the same
that completes
off. Yeah. But in all seriousness, we've had loads of really positive feedback through this, which is shocking, because I expected us to get eaten alive for it.
Oh yeah, we fully expected to get absolutely ridiculed
rinsed for it.
Yeah, particularly you. But
particularly me. And I've only had one person call me fat, so it didn't come as a shock. So
no, we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. So it's been really positive, and positive from people that I didn't expect to be positive about it, to be honest with you. But please, if you are listening and think this is shite, will someone tell them? Tell us, because whatever it is that we're doing that you don't like, or if there's something you'd like us to talk about, you think we should add in, we'd love to. When we're not taking this too seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously. This is a laugh, really, for us, and something a bit fun and light-hearted, and hopefully it provides a little bit of entertainment and puts a smile on someone's face at some of the shite we come out with. So
we can't afford to do a skid, so we're going to talk about doing a skid.
Almost to a T, that is what this is.
Yeah, and it gives us both a break from reality, real life.
Waffle some shite.
Today's been ridiculous for me, absolutely ridiculous. So this is a lovely break.
For me. Anything you have to tell us. We'd love to incorporate it.
Yep.
And in the future, I've been asked multiple times, we will have guests.
Yes.
Once we're not so shit at it that we feel like we can actually use their time to their fullest. We don't want to start inviting people on and umming and ahhing at them.
Yeah. And also, hi, Mr. Waddington, do you want to come? Yeah, I'll come over. Where are you? Narnia.
Yeah.
Go up the M11, take a right, and just disappear.
It will shock you to hear we've not been able to quit our day jobs and do this full time yet. So
no, not quite.
It fits in around our lives. Hence why we've moved to 2 weeks, because we're busy people in our work lives and our home lives. So to keep ourselves able to keep up with it, we've moved it to 2 weeks. So, but in the future, once we've got our eye in to a point that we feel like we're not going to waste someone's time, there will be guests. We've got a good few lined up already, and we will move to that format later. But at the minute, we're just rambling, and we're happy to ramble about whatever you want to hear.
Yeah, and on that, I have a question for Callum.
Oh, here we go then.
Last week, we discussed a certain Japanese driver.
Yeah, so...
And, quotes, said, I think he's a bit overrated. And, quotes, I don't think he'll do very well in Europe.
I don't think he'll ever do anything in Europe, I think were my exact
Specific
words.
Quote.
And
Mr.
Pete. So we record ahead of time. I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain here into the old Magic Factory.
Behind the scenes. People like behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes. It's very high end. But we record a couple of weeks ahead of when we release these. So at the time we recorded the episode that you heard 2 weeks ago, it was the week before Finland.
Yeah.
It was the week of Finland.
It was the week of Finland, but we were 4 days early. 3 days early.
Yes. So, and then Finland happened for Drift Masters, and I might have slated the Japanese driver and said he wasn't very good, and then he won the qualification battle and beat James Dean, who I said was we said was the best driver in the world and rarely gets knocked out through a driver error. And we also said the same thing about Dwayne McKeever, who
we both said that
Dwayne's
the best driver ever, until he hits a puddle of water.
Yeah, and we said you never see him knock himself out through a driver error. It's always a mechanical.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to see him in a 2 JS15. Oh wait,
between the two of us, me more so, I might have dropped my foot in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I'll take one for the McKeever, but you're taking 5 for
I'm
the
taking
Nakamura.
50 for the Nakamuras. And
would you like to retract your statement, or you still stand by it?
no, I stand by it because he fucked it in the end. But he fucked it a lot further into the event than he normally does. Off camera, after we'd finished the previous episode, I said he's not a shit driver. I just don't think his driving suits European competition. That's what I should have said during the episode. I didn't word it brilliantly. And then I watched Drift Masters and kept sending messages to Adam with screenshots of his 93.5 qualifying run and then him beating...
his 97-point qualifying run.
Yeah, then he beat Dwayne McKeever and then he beat James Dean, and then I wanted to dig myself into a hole and be sad.
Yeah.
So I thought we probably should address that.
Yeah, it
turns out he will do something in Europe.
Yeah, it turns out we know
James Dean.
Yeah, we knew nothing, and we know even less than we thought we knew.
So that top 5 list that we gave you in the previous episode, scrap that because apparently we know nothing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ideal. I stand by it.
Just because you're stubborn.
I stand by it because I'm stubborn. I might have to give him a slight bit more credit than I previously. I don't stand by my "he'll never do anything in Europe" comment because clearly he will.
He's done it already.
Yeah, but when it went into his battles, granted the conditions were atrocious, and that's what caught Dwayne out. But he had that battle in the bag. This is Nakamura had that battle in the bag and made a balls up.
He did, in
by
fairness,
being too aggressive.
Which is his Achilles heel.
Yeah, which is exactly what you said.
Yeah. He is just so aggressive. He normally takes himself out, and he did.
That track is a much more Japanese-style circuit.
It is
because it's very technical, walls, risky, tight, and it suited him to a T.
True, but then you've got places like Scuba. Is it Scuba Circuit?
Yeah, but I don't think he does a great deal well there, does he?
No, I don't know. I think he does.
I don't know. I don't follow the Japanese competition well enough.
Yeah, and that's a fast track.
It is a fast track, but he looked like he struggled with Spain, which was a fast track as well.
But that's a similar sort of flow to Scuba.
Yeah. But Finland, apparently, he's got his eye in.
Yeah, apparently
and
likes
that car
Finland.
sounds incredible. I can't wait.
Looks sick.
I can't
Sounds
wait
mental.
to hear that anti-lag rattle through the Latvian streets. So I'm looking forward to that. But yes, I did put my thumb all the way in it, and have had to eat some humble pie this during the weekend.
Oh, I can't wait for.
Unfortunately, that does date this podcast massively on when we recorded it. So you're actually not going to hear this for nearly 4 weeks after the event. So slight post that didn't age well, but I was panicking a little bit as we were watching Drift Masters over the weekend.
Yeah, I was working and I was working flat out. I just kept getting ping. He's only won. Ping. He's qualified third. Ping. He's beat Dwayne McKeever. Ping.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I've made a right dick of myself here. So yeah, if that tells you anything about this podcast, is you probably should just enjoy it and not listen to it. Don't take us too seriously.
Yeah. Do not take us as the oracles of drifting,
no.
Because we know nothing.
I was really confident in that statement as well.
Yeah, you were.
I was.
And you had stuff to back it up, and you were so.
And then he was just
confident.
like, a fat man in England said I'm shit. Watch this. And then somewhat showed me up a little bit. So
yeah, he did.
I'm still going to stand by my statement. I don't think he'll do much more than that.
I can't wait.
I don't think he'll do much more than beat the best driver in the world.
I cannot wait for him to go and win something else now in Drift Masters.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that episode going live.
If we go to Riga and he wins, oh my God, that will be
It's going to be a long flight home. Just you waving a flag the whole time.
I'm buying all the Nauki merch. I'm going to wear top to bottom Nauki merch and just be like...
Just stood over me in the hotel room in the morning.
With the number one of those big foam fingers. Yeah. And just... and an air horn.
Morning. Yeah, that didn't age well. Sadly, he is a bit better than... Well, not sadly. But
we knew he was sick.
He was good. I
We
just
just
didn't think he suited Europe, and apparently he suits Europe better than I thought he did.
yeah, he does. Especially if Europe's tight and wet. Anyway, moving on.
So moving on from tight, wet areas. I had a conversation with Julian Smith yesterday.
Of Garage D?
Of Garage D fame. And we were talking about some of the cars he's brought back from the dead, from the sort of golden era of drifting, the early 2000s. So he's just bought a car that he idolised in the 2001 Tokyo Auto Salon, an R32.
He loves it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really
He loves it.
Having spoke to him yesterday, he loves it. So I was going to ask you, what do you think about these cars that people are now sort of bringing back from the dead? Be the HKS RG2 S15, the Blitz. Obviously, he's got the Blitz R34.
JDM Garage just bought the D1
car.
S13.
He's got 3 D1 cars, isn't he?
Yeah.
At the moment. So, how do you feel about those cars? Do you look at them? Do you look at those cars now and think they're as cool as I thought they were when I saw them all these years ago, or do you think, well, they're a bit shit? Or
What car did Julian buy, or can you not say?
So I don't actually know what garage it was built by. It's an R32. It's a former demo car that had a 26 in it, and it had a BN kit with very modified arches over the top of it. But it was a car that he loved when he saw for the first time. So
4-door, you say?
no, it's 2-door.
2-door.
He just bought it from Norway.
Has he? He does do a lot of Norway now.
He has a house in Norway.
He does, yeah. Lots of Norway.
But he also was the person that facilitated rebuilding the HKS S15.
Yeah, and a lot of Fast and the Furious.
And the Hippo Sleek JZX100. Which
and the Blitz R34.
Blitz 34.
Yeah, he has got some cool cars, in fairness.
But how do you feel about this kind of love of the old cars? Do you think it's something that, could you see yourself doing it? Would you buy a former demo car from the era and keep it as it was, or?
I don't know if I'm nerdy enough.
No.
I think you have to be a certain, I respect them and I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
But I looked at, when we did Japfest, the S13 from Garage, JDM Garage was there. Is it your core? It's not your core, is
where
it?
the internet's going to shout, Mito is furious.
It's an old, original,
old D1 car.
Yeah.
The old 1V.
To be honest, it's a bit shit. Technology, no, it looks sick.
Yeah,
and for nostalgia reasons, it's cool as hell. Proper old school livery, bit faded now obviously, but still adds a bit of character. Really, 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 really cool. But every other car that was parked around it was way better built.
Yeah.
Way better in performance, way better in many, many, many aspects. So although if I had infinite money, I'd have one to park in the corner to say, that's sick.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to just use it because I think I know it's a bit shit.
Yeah.
Like I'd say, well, this turbo's a bit shit, and this map is a bit shit, and everything around it is a bit crap. But for nostalgia reasons, they're cool. And I know Jack's had this conversation with Julian in the past where Julian wants it to be like as it was, but the boost controller is 20 years old. And Jack's like, yeah, but it won't work. And Julian's like, well, it will. And Jack's like, well, it will, but not really.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, and it's a fine line between nostalgia and cool, and then actually, but it's just better. Modern is just better.
Yeah.
You can say the same of classic cars. Do you want a?
Do you want an all original 964 911, or do you want a Singer?
Precisely.
Which one would you rather drive?
The Singer's the better car.
Yeah, by infinite. It's
Infinitely
it wants
better.
to be, but yeah.
But it's not a 964.
It's not an original 964, yeah. So it depends on the nostalgia, doesn't it?
Exactly. Now, it depends on whether that matters to you or not. If you're really into it and you were there at the very beginning and you had these hero cars, which I think is what Julian has.
Yeah, Julian has hero.
And he was there.
And this 32 is one of them.
Yes.
And the Blitz was one of them.
Then it's sick.
So it's really cool that he has. And the Hippo Sleek car, the JZX100.
Some of the top secret cars.
Yeah, there's
really
a
cool.
lot of those. They're all owned by the same guy in America.
Yeah, and
there's a lot of them.
Sick, but you can't use them.
No.
Because if something happens, you can't replace it.
The Blitz 34 is on all the same bodywork that it came over
and he uses it as well.
He uses it.
He does some.
I think he's got a replacement body kit for it, but it's not all on the car.
Right.
I think he's had to replace the front bumper.
Has he?
Other than that, it's original aesthetically as it came over.
It's
which is really cool.
Yeah, it's
considering
really cool.
how much that car's out as well.
Yeah,
especially more so these days.
He uses it a lot, and he uses it hard. He's not just driving it gently to an event and parking it. Like, he's doing drifting trips around Europe and demo days.
Well, he uses his black one for that, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he still does demo days and stuff in the Blitz 34. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool from a nostalgia point of view. Would I buy one? Because they're not going to be cheap.
There seems to have been, the reason I sort of spoke about this with Julian is they seem to have started in the last 2 or 3 years, seem to have really started to pop up. Like Neil from Juicebox, he's obviously super fanatical about them in Ireland.
Yeah.
But he's just bought the S13, the RB S13 that was an old Tokyo demo car. Obviously, Paul at JDM Garage has got...
collecting them like Skittles.
Yeah, he's got a million of them. Julian's obviously built a couple in the last few years. He's done his Hippo Sleek car, he's done
I think Julian's got a lot of stuff tucked away that you don't even know about as well.
I was chatting to him about it yesterday.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that...
There's a couple more in the pipeline that he's got tucked away, which are very cool as well.
There you go.
I think... I was curious as to whether you are... Because you are obviously slightly later into drifting.
Yeah,
I am as well, obviously. But you were a couple of years again after me. And you're probably not quite as nerdy on the backstory of it as I am, in some respects.
I like it, and I respect it. And cars like the BN kitted RX-7, the yellow one with the, the car.
Yeah.
Like those cars are sick. And
it's wild to think that they were doing that in the early 2000s as well. Cars that still would look amazing now. Imagine what that looked like in 2001.
Exactly. I really respect that. But would I spend a lot of money on buying one of those cars? No. Personally, no. I would like to go to a show and look at one.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Thank you. I've satisfied that.
I think the fact that S15 was rebuilt, the HKS one, the red one that was in Gran Turismo, so cool that car is back, and it's all original as well. Like, obviously it's fresh paint, fresh build, because the car became a time attack car. But it's so cool that... and I asked Julian, how did you find all the parts? Because he built that car again.
Did he?
I said, how did you find the parts for that car? And he said, the parts found us. When we sort of put it out there that we were building the car, so everyone was like, "Oh, I've got the steering wheel off the old HKS car, and I've got the gearbox off the old HKS, I've got this, I've got that," and the parts found him.
That's pretty sick.
Which is really cool to hear.
Yeah. I've got the steering wheel, and it's £17,268
as well. I said, "Do you have a lot of that?" And he said, "There is more of that because people know you want them, but." He said, without being arrogant, I have everything. So they need something from me before I desperately need that part. So
I'll have that HKS box, but what are you buying off me?
Yeah, he sort of was able to do that. So they had the S15. I didn't realise the car's owned by Andy at Sumo Power.
I don't know who that is.
No? You don't know who that is? Okay, so Sumo Power actually used to be based in Littleport, which is really
Did they really?
Yeah.
But literally 10 miles away, 20
They're
miles
a tuning
away.
company that... was in the UK years ago. Did a lot of time attack. Years ago, Mark Looney drove a pink 350Z that was built by them.
I recognise that name.
Mark Looney drove the Sat Supra, ended up being a Link dealer.
I know what you mean.
Haltech dealer and Mr. ECU. But yeah, they were a company in this country that did a lot of Japanese parts, a lot of importing, I think, back in the day as well. So Andy built a successful company, and then during COVID, built a successful company. That car came over, and I didn't realise Julian drove it in competition. Both of the HKS S15, RG1 and RG2, they were named. He drove both of them in competition. RG1 had a big shunt in Japan back in the day, so it was a bit rougher. That got sold and went somewhere else. Sumo Power bought the RG2, turned it into a time attack car, which was what they were more into. And then during COVID, decided that he had the car sat there, wanted to return it back to its former glory. So then became the big long search for all the parts.
Mark Looney, this is?
No, sorry, Andy from Sumo Power.
Andy from Sumo, okay.
So Andy owned the car.
So Andy still owns that car?
Still owns the car. And it's just a passion project. He doesn't...
Sick.
It's kind of like he's got a successful business, doesn't need that car to do anything.
Tax. Yes, I know how we can reduce that tax bill.
What is very interesting is that car came back together. They had a spares package for the car when they bought it. Obviously didn't use it in time attack, so they had some of the parts there. They started to buy back stuff, And they ended up with so many other spare parts that they actually built a street car at the same time.
No way.
So there's an EV1 S15 that is identical mechanically to that HKS car that Andy also owns.
No way.
It's a full street car.
That's a cool dude.
That's a very cool dude. Isn't
That guy needs to come on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Just stacking S15s
Yeah, just stacking
with
S15s.
original parts.
But yeah, and the car is entirely original, the HKS car, but
Is he still local?
I don't know. I don't know where he lives these days. It doesn't own... the HKS car is entirely original. It's no longer on the Power FC that it had in the car.
Jack
original.
one.
Julian does own it. He's got the
does
entire
he?
engine loom and the Power FC sat there,
Of course he has.
but it's not in the car. And it doesn't have the HKS sequential gearbox.
Oh, that's a shame.
But Julian does own it.
Of course he does. Why would you not put that back in?
Because they had two boxes.
Yeah.
They were both broken.
Right.
And at the time, they couldn't get parts for them.
But you can
Julian's
now?
managed to find someone to manufacture the parts for them, built one good box out of the two, and hasn't persuaded Andy to buy it off him yet. But probably will do, let's be real.
Oh, I see.
So the car they don't have the sequentials in
Yeah.
it. But other than that, they're entirely as they were, which
Wow.
I think is so cool that they managed to find everything for them.
That is sick. I still don't want to buy
I
it.
hate to think how much it costs to build
All the
because
money.
of that.
Yeah, Julian's got that one gearbox you need. Oh, and by the way, it's 42 grand.
Yeah. By the way, you know that GTR and that house you live in? I'll have those, please.
Yes.
you bent over a barrel if you're so committed to that passion project.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool to see those cars. But I think I'm a lot with you. I think
Exactly. It's really cool to see
it's
them.
really cool to see them, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad someone's passionate enough to spend their money on building them.
Yeah. My concern
thank
is
you.
with that, what happens in 15, 20 years with those cars?
Yeah.
Do they live forever as what they are?
They live forever.
Does somebody go, what the hell is this stupid thing?
Yeah.
And then, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
once the nostalgia you have to keep the nostalgia alive, and I think that's hard to do if you don't use the car, because that S15 comes out very rarely. It was at Players a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a Brands
Before
Hatch.
then, it was at Brands Hatch 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been out a lot because, again, you can't replace anything on it. I suppose is the hard part. The same with Julian's the only person that really uses these cars hard, and I don't really know how he's got away with it.
But even then,
He's doing a big power slide. He's not competing with it. He's not doing a big competition, and I don't blame him one bit.
No, I don't. He's not doing a 360 entry. He's backing it in, whatever. He's doing a drift in a really cool, really rare
really
car.
iconic cars. Which
Yeah.
fair play to him.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
And we did actually speak about that S15, and I said, it's amazing to think that in 2003 or 4, when you were driving that was the cutting edge.
Yeah.
And now he's like, it's such a basic car. He's like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's like a built SR with a bolt-on turbo and a two-way and a couple of adjustable arms.
It's
Like,
now-
there's nothing to it.
It's now what we would call entry level.
Yeah, it literally is
Yeah.
an entry-level car.
Yeah.
Just, it had factory or HKS bagging at the time. Like, it was nothing
Yeah.
special. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think they're so deep in nostalgia that you're paying so much money for quite a shite car in comparison to what you could build for the same money now.
I mean,
But I'm so glad that someone cares enough to do that.
I am too. I just hope that
And if I had
stays.
unlimited money, I would also be one of them. I love the BR 32 and 34.
Do you?
They're both in America, I believe, but I love those cars. They're actually owned by the same bloke who owns all the top secret cars.
Obviously.
But they're so cool, and if I had unlimited money, I'd buy them.
That was going to
Just
be my
to look at.
That was going to be my question. So if you are buying one of these nostalgia cars, what are you buying?
It would be one of the BR cars.
Would it?
One of the two yellow, either the 32 with the 34 front or the 34. I think the 34 is very cool, and I don't really like 34 two-doors, but it is a two-door and it's very cool.
I'd buy Naoki Nakamura's old S13 and just rub it in your face.
They're a bit shit, aren't
Better a bit shit.
they? A bit shit.
No good in Europe, that car.
There's so many cars I'd love to own.
I would buy. You didn't ask me, but I'm going to tell you.
I was, yeah, you've teed up the question that I should have asked you.
I would buy, I don't know why, but I always loved seeing this car. It was in the Outsiders video. It's the Yokomo sponsored yellowy gold R34 two-door with the giant clear rear end plates on the wing from BR.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that car
That is the car I'm on about. The yellow one, do you mean?
yeah.
The yellow.
That's not a top secret car though, is it?
No, it's not. It's BR. It was owned by BR, but the guy who owns the top secret cars also owns the BR cars.
That's it.
Yeah.
That R34, the Yokomo one with the white wheels.
So sick.
It is
That's
so
yeah,
sick.
we're on about the same car.
And seeing that at Minami, when they go over the jump and it just snaps to angle, is so sick.
And I don't like 34.
I don't like 34s
particularly.
But I love that car.
I love that car.
Where is that car then?
It's in America.
It is that one in
I
America.
think it's owned. There's a guy called JDM something.
He
on
passed
Instagram.
away, didn't he, not that long ago?
Mr.
BR.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And his 86 is in Ireland. Paul owns that as well. Paul owns all the cool stuff. Paul is probably between Paul and Julian, they've monopolised the market, and there isn't many cool cars that they don't own that are in this country. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I'm really excited to see our sport receive that level of passion for its history, because it is a new sport. There isn't that much history to it, but what is there? We're seeing more and more people that are truly passionate about keeping that alive. People like Neil Sheeran from Juicebox. So I think it's cool to see that. And
that Corolla's sick.
Corolla's sick. So cool that he built. And the Bride 86 in Japan, in Ireland as well. That's another cool car that got restored not long ago. I know it's not technically the same shell, but they've literally went to the extent of welding bits of metal out of the knackered shell into it to make it as original as possible. But all the parts are original.
Close as it's ever going to be.
It's the only thing it doesn't have is the interior that the car came over with, because it's owned by someone else and they refuse to sell it. But
wankers.
But I think it's so cool that those cars exist, and I'm really glad to see that people care enough to keep the history alive.
I do too. But it's a bit like classic cars. Like if you've got a delivery mileage Escort RS 500 Cosworth.
Yeah.
So, Sierra RS.
You're going to lose all the money if you use it.
Yeah. So you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
You have to have unlimited money.
Yeah.
And if I did, I'd have it suspended from the ceiling
in a glass
in the
box.
unit, and I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, that's so cool.
A bit like the Drift Games boys have in their new showroom thing, where they've got those containers with the sides cut out.
Yeah.
You'd have a suspended container with the R34 BR in it, and you just look at it and go.
And occasionally you go up there with a jump box and start and go, this sounds sick.
Is that 26 in that?
26.
Yeah.
Big boy, old school cans.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's. And it's got a sequential in it.
We are RB boys.
RB boys.
I'm sorry, I didn't realise. I thought that's what you said, and then my brain thought, no, that isn't what he's on about. And then my brain thought, yes, that is. And then I said
it's
anyway.
a very cool car. But yeah, I think, I don't know if we'll see many more of them. I don't know if many more of these cars still exist in Japan. They're still, I know Paul seems to keep digging them out from somewhere. I don't know.
Where? Where are you finding this?
Phone book, old D1 driver, phone, will you sell me your car? I don't know where all these cars are coming from. But it's mad to see that that car is, as it finished its last round of D1 infinity years ago.
Yep.
And that's so cool that they're still just like that.
In one of my other sort of careers, I worked for a classic car auction house, and one of the classic car auctions that came into the auction, or was going to come in, I don't think it did in the end, when Colin McRae won, I think it was his final rally stage. They didn't know it was his final rally stage at the time, but somebody had paid, I can't say the vendor's name, but someone had paid for that car, literally leave the gloves, the notes,
the water
bottle, everything as it finished that stage, and I want it as it is. Yeah. And that is literally what they did. They took it off the stage, put it straight in a container,
and sent it
straight away. And that car is still out there with the original water bottle, the driver's gloves, the helmets, the pace notes, everything all in it. That's
cool.
That is sick.
But that's a sport that is globally recognised.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that people are starting to
do that
dip their toe in the water with drift cars.
What's the next car then? What is the next car that's going to become the hero car?
FD car. It'll be one of the FD cars.
I think it might be the first RTR Mustang.
Yeah, or one of James's cars. In the future, in many moons to come. I don't.
James has started parking up his Falcon cars.
He has, but I don't think he'll ever sell them because he's very sentimental about them, isn't he? But
as you would be.
Yeah, rightly so. But I think if one of those cars ever came to market, someone would buy that and to own it for its heritage.
I think the original Falcon, like S14, something like that.
14 or the FD or something. I think, or the Worth House S15 if he ever sold that, which
definitely
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
But I think if one of those cars came to market, I think that would be one of the next cars, and I think that would be one of the first from would be the first from Europe.
Do you think the Driftworks R32 holds that same sort of nostalgia?
It does to me. That car's been in drifting as long as I've been in.
That's what I mean, though.
Longer than I've been in drifting.
I'm trying to think of a.
I think that car is so cool, and I love seeing that car out. And I've had the fortune to see it in many places and pull it out of even gravel traps at events when I've been working there. So
when it's buried as well.
Yeah, when it's buried it somewhere. But I think that car's super cool. I love that Phil bought his S15 back, his old competition S15 mid-engine 2J1 for exactly that reason.
Nostalgia.
That's purely a sentimental nostalgia thing, isn't it? And luckily he's built his business to a point where he's able to do that. And I think because of that, I don't think the Driftworks 32 will ever leave them either. I know Martin's the custodian of it, but he's not the owner. It's owned by James, who is Phil's
business partner.
So I don't think that car will ever go anywhere. I think that probably owns some heritage, but I don't think it. I think that's very focused to just the UK. I think globally, the next cars that will pop up will be, like you say, the RTR cars, maybe some of Chris Forsberg's cars from years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Any of James Dean's cars, if they ever come to market, which again, I don't think they ever will.
I'm trying to think of like this. There's probably some Japanese dude that we're doing no justice to.
Oh yeah,
like an old Yokoi car.
I'm sure there's plenty of old D1 cars that will still come over.
The Toyo tyres, S13s that were in D1 GP and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Those sort of cars are very, very nostalgic.
Yeah, I think one of those got rediscovered recently.
Not
rediscovered, but like publicised on the internet.
Like a Forza barn find.
Yeah, and that's set to be rebuilt again. But I don't know. I think in the future it'll be an FD car or a. But I don't think they'll hold the same merit that people hang on the golden era of Japanese drifting.
Wonder what these cars are worth.
I hate to think, but because you're paying
for nostalgia. Yeah.
What do you think a competition RB sequential 34 is worth? And this car sold 4 or 5 years ago. That BR car.
It's a fair amount of money, but it's
probably what 40.
Probably 30? A bit more.
If it wasn't a car of nostalgia.
Oh, if it was just a sequential RB26 R34.
That car, but with that
30,
nostalgia.
35?
Yeah. What I reckon, 60, 70?
Yeah, at least.
But the thing is it worth that? I suppose it's worth what someone's willing to pay.
It's the same as
in 10 years' time, when that car comes back up for sale, is there another nut job that's into JDM drift cars enough willing to pay that?
Extreme example.
Paul, maybe.
Yeah, Paul. Extreme example, but last year, Princess Diana's Escort Cosworth sold...
Escort RS Turbo, wasn't it?
Sold for £500,000.
To Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Paid like ridiculous money for it.
Why?
Because someone once sat in it. But then what is nostalgia? I suppose that is...
But surely the limo she died in would be worth more. That's the last thing she sat in.
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
But
I suppose...
Why are we...
The car's not anything special, is it?
No.
But
and it's not like the last car she sat in.
No. Well,
if I'm being harsh.
No. Self-statement, that. But yeah, I see what you're saying. It's just a car that someone owned. But then you see that time and time again with celebrity-owned cars, and they fetch more money than otherwise.
I remember I'm not going to name the car auction I worked for, but we worked for a car auction, and I got a phone call once, and the guy was like, "I've got a Rolls Royce, blah 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 blah, blah Silver Shadow, blah blah blah."
And he said crimes were committed in it.
He said, and the previous owner is Saddam Hussein.
Oh, some crimes were committed.
So I was like, right, that's the selling point, is it? He was like, yeah.
It probably is, though.
I think it's worth double.
So it's worth $4,000. What was it, Silver Shadow?
How much fuel's in it?
How much sill is
that a selling point?
To someone it is.
To some psycho, maybe?
It's an interesting point, I think. I think it makes a car more saleable. I don't necessarily think stuff like that has value.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're paying a lot of money for a Rolls Royce that's been owned by Saddam Hussein, you probably want your bank account lock-in and your house looking into.
Yeah, you're going to get investigated if that's the main selling point for you.
But I suppose it's all in the eye of the purchaser. You only need 2 people that want to buy that thing because it means something to them, and they pay well above the market value for it.
Yeah, well, and it is. I suppose we all do. We're all guilty of that. Once you find something you want, you'll pay what it. Within reason, you'll probably stretch your budget past what it should be to buy it, won't you? So
yeah, well, this car is the S15 is very nostalgic to me. It's not my first drift car. No, my first drift car was shit. So I bought. So
we panicked.
So I panicked rid of that. And rushed out and bought this. Never would I have thought when I bought it 9 years ago.
Long time ago now.
That I'd have
become what it is.
I'd have done what I've done with it, and it would have come what it's become. So now it's very sentimental to me. It's worth a lot more than what it's actually worth. It's probably 25 grand, but it's worth more than that to me. And I knew if I sold it and I saw somebody else driving it, I would be heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken.
Yes,
as you know too well.
Yes, I know too well.
But then you were also heartbroken seeing it parked in the porch, dying.
Fuck all, yeah.
Dying, literally.
Yeah.
So like, it's at least this isn't dying.
No.
But it's also not really being used as much as it should, and it's not really.
But the car owes you an amount of money that is almost not worth selling.
The chassis owes me fuck all, frankly. The running gear owes me a lot of money, granted. But,
but you could also sell the running gear out of it and push the shell in the corner and look at it, and it wouldn't.
Same as the what we said earlier about putting the R34 in a container up on the wall. That might be the end goal for this car. I take out all the expensive stuff that's in it, the dash, the ECU, the engine.
Maybe we'll circle back to it one day, or if not, it can sit up there and look cool.
We'll lower it down so it looks sick, and we'll park it in a container. No, I would.
What bit of it are we taking for Nike to sign at Drift Masters?
All of it. So he's got to sign my forehead, my shirt. He's got to sign your forehead.
Fucking hell, he needs a big pen.
It's a lot of pen. Yeah, he's going to run out of Sharpies real quick. But no, and what we're taking for Nike to sign? I don't know. Steering wheel? It's a bit awkward though, isn't it? And also, I'm too tight to pay for extra luggage.
We don't have any luggage. We've just got whatever backpack we can get on with us.
If it's hot or
mine's
cold,
going to be full with a pair of pants. The amount of fabric I've got to put in there.
Harambe needs big pants. We're limited as to what we can take for Nike to sign, but I will find something for him to sign, and I will.
Bet you will.
I will just aim it directly at you, just to remind you of what you said once on a podcast about Nike being shit.
I hope he hasn't heard it. He won't.
Funnily enough, I don't think he can understand what you're saying.
Probably.
And I don't think he cares.
No, I don't. He has no right to either. He has no need to worry about what I have to say.
No, definitely not. But no, I don't think I'd buy any of those cars other than the R34, which you were talking about that I completely ignored and said the same thing.
I don't think I'd buy one either. I don't have enough capital to buy one even if I wanted to. But if I did, I don't think I'd put all my eggs in that basket that I couldn't drive.
No, and I'd rather put 60 grand into something else.
Yeah,
that
I feel
I
like
can
I could
drive.
build something that has my stamp on it rather than.
And it's gonna have to have been at least that money.
Yeah, and I've also.
Paul, let us know.
Yeah. What would you do? Yeah. But years ago, I bought, and this is very different. I bought a car that had been built by someone else, and I know Jordan's experienced that with my old 32. Bought a car
Jordan.
Been built by someone else, and then all you hear is that so and so's old
car.
Which I know is a bit different because obviously it's a car of nostalgia, but it becomes tedious after a while. And I know Jordan's had that as well. But I would rather build something of my own and be known for it being my car. And I think for the money that you would spend on these vehicles, unless you had an unbelievable amount of money tied up somewhere that suddenly became free, I don't know why you would do it.
Yeah,
I wonder to an extent, because the people that are doing it these days are people that are much further on in their career. And I wonder if to some extent they're a pension. Because you tie your money up in an asset that is really cool, worth some money.
But that's a very niche asset.
It's a very niche asset.
If you say, right, I'm going to cash out and retire, who wants to buy my R34?
My fleet of D1 cars.
Yeah, they're 100 grand each. And everyone goes, ha! They're sick, but you're nuts, mate.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
Yeah.
You've then put £500,000 into really niche, really cool drift cars that nobody wants.
Yeah. But look at the history of the price of these cars. They've only gone one way.
Not recently. Recently they've gone.
No, but if you draw out, they've gone one way. So you'd like to think that they would continue that trend.
But we know fuck all.
But we know nothing, clearly.
Don't listen to us.
I definitely don't take financial advice from me.
To be fair, when these climb to 50 grand, that would be tempting.
Would it?
Yeah.
I don't think you'd let it go, though.
I'd let the running gear go.
Yeah, I bet you would. I don't think you'd let that shell go.
I don't know, though, because even the engine's sentimental, because it's literally the engine I've always used.
Yeah.
The SR that was in it, I didn't really give two shits about. But this engine, it's the same Neo that I bought from JDM Distro 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And that is quite rare.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we love RBs, but that's quite rare. It's the same crank, which is even rarer.
It's the same crank, it's the same engine, it's the same head.
Yeah, it's done well.
It's
You now can't drive it for a year until the bad juju goes away that we spoke about how good it works. So
yeah. Yeah, because whatever we say happens, the opposite happens.
Yeah. So now it's going to kick a rod out of the
So
bottom.
now he's shit, now he's great. Engine's great, engine shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Engines in pieces on the floor.
Engine bye-bye.
Which we don't want.
No. And when Mr. DY says, don't worry, I've got a block, it's £5 million. And then I ring Julian, and Julian goes, don't worry, I've got a block, it's £4 million.
Yeah.
I'll go, oh.
I've got, yeah, exactly.
And then it goes in a container on the wall.
And cutscene, end of vehicle, end of drift car.
When are you driving next?
I'm not. I'm not. I need to buy a house instead.
Yeah.
Rather than an engine.
Yes. Yeah, it gets a bit leery. That completes this week's episode. Thank you very much for watching and listening. You can follow us before the next one on the following links, which are on Instagram at idle.chat, YouTube at idlechatpodcast, and personally, I'm at AdamMS15 and Callum is at Callum_Pete.
Yep, and this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. So wherever you fancy it, we're there to fill your ears with waffle.
To enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm here to return my telly. It's fucked. Help me.